Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics / Non-Classics. This is episode number 1681 and Doubleshot number 1575. Now, I've got two trades to discuss here. One from a website, the other, of course, from the Pola app. First up, it is Thunderbolts Classic Volume 1. This collects the first 5 issues of Thunderbolts, along with their annual Marvel. I think it was, there's also Incredible Hulk 449, which is their debut. Matera from Tales of the Marvel Universe, and Spider-Man Team number 7, which is actually, I believe it was the last issue of that series. I think it was, yes. Now, you're probably thinking, does this trade start off with their debut in Incredible Hulk 449? The answer is no, they do not start there. They start with issue 1, which basically, from what I can tell, takes place prior to that. Or basically, they have all their debut. They have the public debut. They won't really explain how the team came together at this point. They were probably put together by Citizen V. Now, here are your members of the original founding Thunderbolts. You have Mach 1, Techno, Citizen V, Meteorite, Songbird, and Atlas. That is your team. And they call themselves Thunderbolts. They do explain, now, Citizen V, of course, this book is written by Kurt Busiek. He writes pretty much everything in here except for Incredible Hulk issue. That's the only thing he does not write. The artwork is mostly done by Mark Bagley. Really good artist. And these two guys practically created Thunderbolts. Here's the weird thing, though. When they made their debut, they made a debut in a comic that was written by Peter David. And yet Peter David is not credited for creating these characters. It's Kurt Busiek. Not really sure why in the world this is. They do explain in Annual of how the heck they actually came together, which chronologically was even before this book. But basically, they have Thunderbolts 1 first, then Incredible Hulk 449, then Thunderbolts 2, then you have Tales of the Marvel Universe, and I think it's issue 3, then 4, then the Annual, then Marvel Team Up, Spider-Man Team Up number 7, and then finally it is basically issue 5, and that's the order publication is. They do explain the word Thunderbolts comes from an actual poem, from a century poet. This is detailed to a interviewer. Now, basically they come about thanks to the absence of the Avengers Fantastic Four. Though the Hulk is still around, so they deal with a bunch of escaped villains. And here Citizen V making his public debut with his mighty sword. Yep. And here they are, the Thunderbolts. Yep, their public debut. Who they really are, basically, is not revealed at the end of the first issue. So the bad guys. Oh, by the way, their headquarters at this point in time is a pizza place, because they don't have any funds to basically get like a big the Avengers Mansion, whatever. So they have some chats between these members, and of course, they detailed their code names. Now, and I mentioned the whole thing about Citizen V because of people who were Citizen V. Now, here's basically you should know. There's a question, a very good question. I'm glad the fact Kurt Busiek basically put this in the very first issue. I've heard us, why do you call yourself Thunderbolts? It's inspired by a poem, Thomas Randolph, 17th century poet, who wrote, "Justice like lightning, ever should appear to men ruin, but all men fear. Our hope is that we can be justice like lightning." Okay. Why not use something established, like Avengers? I said before, we can't replace, the Avengers can't be replaced, and we don't try and presume to try. We wouldn't think of usurping their name, or record, or reputation deserve our actions. Okay. So, they all get a chance to chat for a bit, and then they battle another villain. And then, of course, they go up against the Wrecking Crew. Yes, the Wrecking Crew, who are pretty much like jokes of villains of Thor. And they knock out the arm of the Statue of Liberty. They do fix that in that case. Don't worry about that. Yep. And after they beat them, and then, of course, you have Atlas and Techno fix the arm. We have a guest star appearance here by Spider-Man. I think Kurt Busiek had written Spider-Man part of this. And of course, it's nice though that Kurt Busiek did with the New Warriors because they were just established not long before this. And then of course, oh, you took our man Citizen Fee. And then Citizen Fee is revealed to be Baron Zemo. And it's revealed that these are the members. Techno is actually the Fixer. Mach 1 is actually the Beetle. Songbird is Scream Mimi. Atlas is Goliath. And Moonstone, Meteorite is Moonstone. Yep, it's an absolute really good reveal. I gotta hand it to Mark Bagley. It's really well done. And then, of course, we go into issue 449, which, of course, guest appearance by Thunderbolts. Now, this issue was done by Peter David and art by Mike Nadal Jr. Mostly putting away its Hulk's encounter with Thunderbolts. Hulk was actually one of the very few big-name superheroes not to be killed off during Onslaught, along with Spider-Man, the X-Men, Daredevil, and Black Widow, surprisingly. Everyone else got killed off. So they take him on. Mostly this is kind of like their first official appearance, per se, despite the fact that Peter David just probably threw it because, well, they're going to debut a new series. And, I actually thought that issue 2 came next. Nope, it's actually Tales Marvel Universe. They throw their story in here, which is basically more Thunderbolt stuff, which, of course, by the way, they actually have a vehicle known as the V, it's called the V vehicle. Basically, it's the 5 members of Thunderbolts riding on top of this giant V boomerang. Yeah, that's their transport, this tiny thing. Excuse me. And of course, there's more showing them off. And then finally, we get back to we get to the series. Where, of course, they battled the Mad Thinker for 4 Freedoms Plaza. Yeah, 4 Freedoms Plaza. Of course, they also take time to take out the Circus of Crime, of all things. Yeah, Circus of Crime. A group of villains who were established by the late Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. The first appearance was back in Incredible Hulk number 6. The original number 6. Not the Jason Aaron book. This was the original promise back in the 60s before it actually concluded. And of course, they reference images of Onslaught here. They have this thing where Mach 1 and Songbird become a couple. And the thing is, this is a relationship actually sticks around to modern day. There was a brief period of time where she dated Zemo briefly. But mostly she's dated Abe Jenkins, a.k.a. Mach, well, at the time of the last book, Mach 10, where at the end of the book he apparently died. Yep. And then, of course, well, they battle some statue, and eventually they finally go to 4 Freedoms Plaza, which this briefly becomes their base operation because Fantastic Four are gone. They're off for the Heroes Reborn stuff. And then, of course, they battle Mad Thinker, and they take over 4 Freedoms Plaza. They pretty much, in a way, supposedly kill him, but with just a robot. So they give him the 4 Freedoms Plaza as a gift. And they pretty much change the forward building to a Thunderbolt side. Yes, they do in fact do that. Yep. And then we have their team up with Spider-Man, which that was interesting. Yes, a team up with Spider-Man. And yes, this is done by Kurt Busiek and Sal Buscema and Dick Giordano. Yeah, the thing has Spider-Man basically mad once again to the people accused of being murder. And here is the new 4 Freedoms Plaza, a.k.a. the headquarters of Thunderbolts. Yeah, this is a very brief thing. By issue 10, they have to evacuate the building because the Fantastic Four are back. And the building is destroyed. And the Fantastic Four can't move back into their home because it was destroyed. So they moved to Pier 4 for a few years before that gets destroyed. And then gets replaced by the Baxter building, which they practically rebuilt. Yeah. So, yeah, and then we have apparently this red woman was named Dallas Red, who actually later on does become Citizen V. Yeah, she briefly becomes Citizen V. So basically, yeah, we write that. Oh yeah, they're actually Masters of Evil, and they team up with Spider-Man for this issue to take down some other criminals. Yeah, there's actually a really funny thing here where, we see that Atlas is looking at 2 beautiful. Well. Hi, ladies. Who? Sorry to be a star, you. You're him. You're Atlas. My favorite animal, please. Can I get your autograph? Sure, my hands are kind of big. Oh, please. The other goes opposite. No, it's can't use hold a pen. Shaking down too low. hold it together stronger. So basically, he writes his name on the freaking building. Okay, that's kind of funny. And we have Jameson like, what the heck is going on here? Of course, it shrinks down. Of course, you have Citizen V, who does know who Jameson is. Of course, who doesn't in the Marvel Universe know who basically Jameson is? I mean, who doesn't? And he drives away. It's an absolute really fun team issue. Shockingly, this was the last issue of the series before it got relaunched as Marvel Team Up. Yep. But it's nice that we have a team between Spider-Man and Thunderbolts. And they then later on start fighting. Of course, they basically have a good terms. And, well, oh, I forgot. They do team up. There's actually a couple more issues of this one. I forgot about that. Yeah, let's continue for a few more issues. Then we finally get back to issue 3, where we have the Thunderbolts, where we have the former Phoenix Plaza completely remodeled to the Thunderbolts headquarters. And this was the headquarters for a brief period of time, into issue 10. Yep. So, by the way, they get a brand new member in issue 3, Joystick. Yep. A character who stays with the group until the end of the famous season run. After Civil War 1. Yeah, this is a character who stays in the group for a long time. Yep, never leaves. So yeah, so we have Black Widow, who, by the way, apparently after, in the apparent period of time, Black Widow wore this attire for some strange reason. It's kind of weird. It was something she did in the 90s briefly. Then she went back to the classic outfit that, I think it was, I don't remember who gave it to her basic time. Maybe, I think it was John Mia Sr. And of course, you have more stuff with Beetle and Songbird. And they come across other people, one of whom does join Thunderbolts later on. And they are fighting them. And issue 4 says Interesting Jolt. This actually she first up in issue 3. Yep. So it's like, oh, she's basically on the team. They're like, okay. Yeah, Jolt, aka Joystick. Yeah, she also involved this old Deadly Games thing. This technically was not her debut. She made a debut in the Spider-Man book. I guess Kurt Busiek basically wanted to use her for some reason, because no one used her. So they bow Artem Zola. Yes, Artem Zola of all people. And Zemo does know him because of Captain America villains. And then we go to the Thunderbolts Annual. Yes, where it reveals the backstory of how the heck the team came together. That's mostly what the annual serves for. Basically, it's how the team was recruited by Zemo to become the Thunderbolts. Now, if I were Marvel and they put together the show, I would put this first. Well, they probably did for a good reason. And I should point out, though, after this, the next annual would not come out for 3 years. Not until the year 2000, when Kurt Busiek was off the book and Fame the Season was on the book at that point. Yep. Yeah, and then pretty much after the events of the annual, yeah, and that was it. And we have one more issue before we have to end this trade here, where you have Atlas versus a guy called the Growing Man. And you have the characters going out for shopping. It's like a day off for them. And they put on their attires. Excuse me. And then, of course, they battle the Growing Man for pretty much the whole issue. And the thing ends next. The Elements of Doom. Yes. I gotta say, really good set of issues. I love Kurt Busiek stuff. I'm gonna give the first trade for Thunderbolts Classic, first of three trades. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. It's just a damn good book. Love it. Next up it is Wonder Woman Volume 1, Afterworlds. This book collects issues 770 to 779. This whole story is simply Wonder Woman in Valhalla for 10 straight issues. Yeah, this book is written by Becky Cohen, yes, who I think at this point is the second female writer in the last decade who actually wrote Wonder Woman. I would say overall, when it comes to writing Wonder Woman, there hasn't been that many female writers for Wonder Woman, surprisingly. You're thinking, really? Yeah, there hasn't been that many. I think Becky Cohen is the third female writer because the first and most obvious one is Gail Simone. She's the most obvious one because almost all the writers of Wonder Woman prior to this were all guys. Yes, you had Gail Simone first, then you had G. Will Wilson, who was the writer for a few years, and now it's Becky Cohen's turn. Yep. With Michael W. Conroy, artwork by Travis Moore, Andy McDonald, Jill Thompson. Great to see her back in this book. Becky Cohen and Emela Lebacu. Yep. And that's the major story with this one. Basically, Wonder Woman Valhalla. She gets have a love interest in this storyline. It's just basically something that's just only in these 10 issues. Yeah, that's simply what it is. And eventually she doesn't get out and gets back to present day stuff, which is explored on the pages of Justice League. But this storyline is fantastic. I love it. It was kind of the only problem with this storyline. It's kind of lengthy. It's a 10-parter, which is kind of weird though. Like, okay, Becky Cohen starts out with a 10-parter for her very first story arc she does for Wonder Woman. There's also a backup feature in the book, which actually shockingly is not in this trade. Yeah, it's Tales of Young Diana. Yeah. By the way, this actually is her attire throughout this whole storyline. Not her traditional garb. Nope, this attire for some strange reason. Yeah, most of what she's buying, and then of course, then she finally runs the frickin' Dead Man of all people. Yes, Dead Man. On some afterlife stuff. Yeah, also she suffers a bit of memory loss, though she does eventually get back. Also, this period of time, people think Wonder Woman's dead. So that's why in the universe they got rid of just like Dark, and eventually she runs to Dr. Psycho again. And then of course she meets up with a few people. Many people were Cassius Thor, yes, character's Thor, Brunhilde, and Faye. After being with the Wild, then of course basically with the guy. Eventually she goes back to Olympus finally. And deals with the whole thing with the gods. Just really awesome stuff here. More stuff with Dead Man, which is so awesome. Always gotta love seeing Dead Man here. Yeah, in terms of Valhalla, so just the first half of the storyline, and then the rest of the time she's with Dead Man. Got beautiful artwork here by Jill Thompson. This artwork is freaking gorgeous. Yeah. Give this woman an award for damn good artwork. Yeah, a lot of times, like I said, she just hangs out with Dead Man the whole period of time. And eventually she goes to like another world. Where she goes to meets like this is the world where like everybody is all the superheroes, all the male superheroes are all women, and there is a Wonder Man. Yes, they finally did an actual Wonder Man. Which is quite shocking, though, to say the least. You're probably thinking, why is it shocking the fact they have a Wonder Man in DC Comics? Because for a long period of time, they actually did want to do this for years. A Wonder Man, a male equivalent to Wonder Woman. I think the reason why is because Marvel owned the trademark to Wonder Man. And they couldn't do it at the time, but I guess that Becky Cohen was allowed to get away with this due to so they decided to include him in here for reasons. Yeah, this is basically from that one shot that appeared in Countdown. Great to see the female equivalent of these characters again. Even if it's for one issue. Yep. And then she runs to Carol Ferris. Yeah, Carol Ferris is here. And eventually, she just finally go back to her own. She just eventually started going back to her own world. And then she goes into the Phantom Zone of all things, where she runs into the Phantom King, making his first appearance since. Trying to think. Oh, now I remember. Last time he showed up was actually an arc for Supergirl when Steve Atlanta wrote the book. Yeah, great that he's a Phantom King again. And then we had Wonder Woman switch out from the World War II attire to the pre-Flashpoint attire. Yeah. That's a bit surprising to see this in post-Flashpoint, see her wear that outfit. Yeah. And then she runs into Batmite. Yes, Batmite. Making his first appearance as his own miniseries. And of course, on the other one here, we also have Mixie Mixoplex. Okay, Mixie. Which is so funny. And plus, I love the Dark Knight. I love the Batman miniseries references, which is so hilarious. And about this evil person, and they have a caveman times. Like, what the heck? Caveman times. Yep. Caveman times. And I think Dead Man's dead, but nope, not dead yet. And finally, reached the finale with this woman known as the God Scraper. Yep. Benjamin does come back, and she's bound. The great gods come back. And finally, she's able to, well, there will be a brief stop at the great hero Earth. And eventually, she goes back home. Yeah, and the thing is, there's actually a backup feature for these issues, which this trade does not have here. It's the Tales of Young Diana. Now, Wonder Woman Afterworlds, this book, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 because it's just a damn good story. And I like to hear my friend Tivia thoughts about this particular storyline for Wonder Woman. I'm sure he probably read it. I'd like to hear his thoughts about it because I found this book to be really good. It's exciting. And I at least got to give high praise to Becky Cole and bring in Joe Thompson, a really damn good artist. I really wish they keep her as a regular artist this book because she's really good at artwork, especially for drawing Wonder Woman. Yep. But yes, that's definitely give this particular review. Stay tuned for tomorrow for my last review for now. Going to be for That Time of Girl is a Slime, Attack on Titan, and a couple more comic corners. Okay, next video. Bye.